Welcome back, GRD131, Graphic Design 1 to ex12, where we're doing another web ad for our alt roofing that we're incorporating our logo and trying to incorporate some copy here. And this is a very short, wide ad that we're working on. In fact, I might even go over here and hide my layers right now and kind of work over here because I probably want to see some things over here. Now, kind of a challenge to work with. We have a lead in here. It's a neat image. But how do we get our logo in here? What color do we make our logo? All those kinds of things, because it's very warm and we have warm colors. So do we want to put this in here? I'm not sure what we're going to do now, but I guess what I'm thinking, just to try it out. Now, I didn't practice this or anything, so I'm going to just move this over and put it in here. Now, maybe this would look better blue, and maybe it doesn't have to be so big. I might make it a little smaller. Remember, we were making things very condensed when we were on the other ad, so you could probably stretch things out a little. I wouldn't stretch it out a lot and distort it, but you could stretch it out, and possibly this could be blue in the middle. You might want to go there and find a different blue. Now, I could go here with my eyedropper and just kind of pick something to start, kind of work from there, and then, you know, I can make it a little warmer, a little bolder, so it grabs your attention a little bit. And maybe this would fit under here. The website, I don't know, I might have to go smaller with this, or maybe we put it on one line. Let's try to do that. We're going to go here and backspace and hit a space, and now I'm going to move this in here. Now, of course, I made it wider. I don't want it wider. I'll scrunch it a little bit and maybe even a little smaller, and I'll just kind of drag the corner here, make it a little smaller. And I still want margin in here if it's away from the edge, because this is almost 100% of the way we'd be seeing it. So I could go a little bigger somewhere in here. I'm not sure yet, but it gives me a nice place to put the website down here at least. And again, I have warm in the background, so I'm using cool in the foreground. So I'm even gonna, I don't have to use my eyedropper. I think I can just go here to in use and use the color that I just used. So that looks okay. I could maybe even go darker with it, and that way I'm still in the same family. And I don't need to put white over it, I don't think. Although I have that little house thing, or there's a little roof thing there. And that's why, another reason why you might want to go back to Photopea for some reason, because you might want to take that out, because that might be really distracting to my ad. And it could be. And right now I'll just try to work around it a little bit. To be honest, it'd be better to get rid of that. So that would be a reason to open up Photopea again and get that out, or even crop it a little bit differently so that's completely cropped off. Good thing I did save it. I was going to tell you not to save it, but maybe I might do that. So actually I wasn't planning to do this, but let me go back and just go back to Photopea. And again, this is what you might have to do. You wouldn't know that unless you started working on it. And I'm going to go to File, Open, and this will be in my downloads. There it is. There's the wide ad alt, so good thing I kept this, because I do like that image. It's interesting, but I need to fix it now. And I'm going to go back and hide that one, and what you can do, it's still there. I have to put on my transform controls. It's still there. What I might do is just make it a little bit bigger, and you know why it didn't change? Because I'm not on the right layer. So let me undo that, and make sure you target the layer, and there it is. And now I'm going to hold shift and just do that. And maybe I could even move this over a little bit. And I was thinking I wanted something there, and I'll move it up. I don't think I want it up. I don't know if I need a tip there or not. That may be a problem. I think I'm just going to leave it out and leave it all sky there and just have the tip of the roof. I think that'll be fine. And what I'll do here is just take my marquee again, and I'll go to my arrow and turn off this control. And I'll go to my marquee again and just select the whole thing. Remember, edit, copy, merged. And I'll go back here, and this one, now I don't have my layers out now, so I'm going to go to View and Show Layers. This is image of the sun, and I'm going to actually delete this. So I'll delete the whole thing, and I'll just paste, Command V, or if you're on Windows, Control V, and there it is. Now I'm just going to move it down here above the other ones, and now that works fine. And I could put a name on here, image sun, because there's sun in there. And now it works. Now that didn't take too long. And I'm going to go to View, turn off my layers again. And now I have more room to work with this over here. I don't have to be limited to have it up so high, so I could nudge it down a little. And I can even make it bigger because it's important, because it's the web address, and that's probably more important. And actually, let me put on auto scale font for that one, and I'll put auto, and I'll just make it a little bit bigger. Remember, it's a small ad, so you don't want it overpowering. This I have to move away from the edge a little, and I still want some margin here. So you can kind of nudge. You don't have to use guides or anything, but just like it was a billboard. Picture it like a billboard, and you still want to think about alignment. So I want these aligned the same at the end. I'm going to nudge this down a little, and I'll click off just to see what it looks like. That looks okay. Now, it's not giving me a lot of room for my logo in here, and typically the logo will be over there. You know, the logo is usually the last thing you see. So this creates a problem. It looks nice like that, but we don't have the logo here. So I'm not sure if this is going to work necessarily, because now we're saying, oh, we got to try to fit a logo over here, and it's, you know, you're going to have to start making it real small to get in there, and already it won't even fit in there. So I'm thinking, even though that looked kind of good just the way it is, that's not going to work. And I'm going to move this over, and I'm going to make it a little bit smaller because it's not that important. And, you know, even I just did that and it broke 2 lines. Maybe I'll put it back and just break it 2 lines again. And I'll do auto. I'll maybe stretch it out a little bit because I don't need to see the house. I just need to see there's a house there. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, but let me get my logo in here. And you can see it can't be very big, but we can fill that up as much as we can. I'm not sure, you know, in some cases it might be better to move roofing exteriors out of there and just have Jeff Alt, even though that's part of their logo. It might be better to take that out, but I'm going to try to stick with their logo right now and not change it. I know you're trying to fit it into this area, but I'm just going to make it as big as I can in that small area and make sure there's some kind of margin. I don't want to squash it, so I have to keep it in proportion. And that looks okay. Now, the colors, I don't know if the colors are going to work with white. I mean, it doesn't look bad. This one won't. The alt looks okay, but this one down here, I'm going to click again. I think I'm going to put it in that brown color because that's the way it was in the logo. So I'm going to use this and then find a dark brown color and see how that works. So that doesn't look too bad with that brownish color. It's not perfect. It's hard to see at that small size, but I'm going to go with that for now. Now, where would I put the website address? Now, I'm not sure. I mean, this could go over here. We could do that and put the website address over there. I think this looks better over here, at least for now. And again, you're going to be doing something different. Now, we still have to get the website address in here. Now, it's not going to be that big, but we want it to be seen. So let's see if we could just kind of get it in between. I don't think we're going to be able to stack it. So let's just get it smaller in here. Let's scrunch this a little, make it a little more condensed because we need room since we're trying to do 3 things aside here. Although our other option is stretch this across and make it smaller and then put the website underneath. So we're kind of making decisions here. This may be okay because it's where the sun is, which is kind of interesting. But I don't know if it's a balance. If I click off of this here, I don't know if it's a really balanced ad. I mean, you could try it and see what you think, but you know, you're not going to get it perfect the first time. And maybe I'll have suggestions for you. Matter of fact, I should save my file and let it sync. You might even hear my computer, the fan kind of going in the background. Now, I don't like the idea with that in the middle, although it's not bad. So let me try to see if I can get this on one line again. And I'll put a space in there. There was a space in there, but I have to make it a little bit smaller. I don't want to scrunch it too much. I mean, I don't want to be doing stuff like that isn't readable. I want to keep it readable. I could still make it condensed, but I like that there. And perhaps we could put the website down here and actually have it align. I'll make it right justified and maybe align with that. Now, we have some issues where it's aligning up and down, but I do have it aligned with the bottom of Alt, which maybe isn't bad. And maybe I'll nudge this down a little and move it over a little. You want to have the same margin on the left and right. And instead of nudging this over, maybe I'll just make it a little bigger if I can, slightly. Because remember, you want people to see the web address. Anything I could do to move it over without being involved with that roof there, and I'll just nudge it up a little. Maybe I'll nudge this over a little. It seems a little crowded to the edge there. Now, maybe we could change the color of the house. This might look better in a blue color, in that same blue, if I went here and use that blue color. Now, I know that's changing the color of the logo, and the drop shadow on there does not look good. I may have to take the drop shadow out, although the drop shadow looks good on the white text. So, you know, there's some things here we have to kind of deal with. So I think what I might do here, and just trying to problem solve here, I might take the drop shadow off altogether. And let me take it off and then see what I have to deal with. Now that looks a little better. Now I wonder if we put I don't think we can put a border on because it's a group. I'm just curious, if I clicked on there and put a border, here's a border. What if I put a little white border on there? Doesn't look too bad. What if I went on here and put a border there and made it the blue color? So I'll go down here and add a border, and I'll see what the blue color border looks like on that. And I'll go to in use and use that. And maybe I'll make it a little thicker, 1.5. And then I'll go to the Jeff part and do the same thing. I'll select it, go down, look for border, hit the plus sign. Now it's black right now. I'll change it to blue, and I'll make it, let me see what 2 looks like. 2 looks okay there. Let me see what it looks like here. If I select the alt part, and I'll make it 2 there. And if I'm doing it that way, the other 2 places, maybe I'll do it here as well. So let me go down and see my border on the house. Remember, I'm clicking on the group and then clicking again, and I'll put 2 here, and that's not too bad. Now, what might look nice too, I think the shadow almost looked nice on this alt part. Let me just try this. Again, just trying some things here. I'll go to drop shadow, and it's not bad. Actually, just the way it is isn't bad. Let me just put it in like 40 to really tone it down, and that's not bad. And let me go on to the Jeff part. Now I'm doing the drop shadow individually to parts, and I'll go down and put on drop shadow, just hit the plus sign, and I'll just make it 40, so real subtle. Actually, I could probably do it on the house as well. It didn't look good with the gray, it didn't look good with the light color, but because there's white around it, it might look okay. So let me try that. And again, I'm only using 40%, so it's very subtle. And it should have a little more pop, so let's see how that looks now. I don't need this thing. Now, I could have used this. I could have took this and stretched it out. If you need dark areas in it, you could, but I don't think I do. And that doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's not perfect, but you know, if I had to submit this to somebody and say, hey, what do you think? Might have some changes here. Maybe, you know, color-wise, anything, but you know, everything looks pretty readable. This kind of brings you in. Your eye goes to the sun. The sun's kind of that midpoint there. If you remember looking at some of those cereal boxes that we looked at, with the sun is kind of like a focal point that your eye is driven to. So the lines kind of drive you to the middle, and that's right where the website is, and that's right where the logo is. So there definitely is a focal point right here in the middle. So I think this works okay for just kind of trying this out. I didn't really plan this out or anything, but it seems like it's okay. I think what I do with that, even though I'm in that brown color that's part of their logo, I think I'd even go darker. Even if it's like, I think I'd do something like that. So it's still in the family, but it's real dark, not quite black. And you know, this could be something that might work better in a brown color. I don't know. Let's try it. Let's use that color and then warm it up a little. Now, would that look good in that sun area, or would that be harder to read? Doesn't look bad. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and try different things. I think I had it in that color initially. I think I like that. I think I like the dark, the cooler over the warm. That's usually better contrast. Cooler over warm instead of warm over warm. And I think that looks okay. You know, you'd have to get some input from other people. Sometimes you're not going to have the answer to that. You're going to put that on and say, well, I like that. Does that look too much like that? I think I would turn it off. I think if I had to, I'd go with that and say, okay, that's what I like. If when I zoom back, I can read the website pretty well, and that's my ad. So I'm going to stay with this. So I'm going to save it, and this is what I'm going to turn in for ex12. And when you're done, or at least when you have a version that you're somewhat happy with, even if you want some input, I can certainly give you some input and give you some suggestions. But once you have it done, just go here to share and make sure that you change this to developer, and do that first. Then copy your Gravit link, and you're going to put that in the comments, just like we've been doing all semester for ex12, which will, I think, still be under Unit 14 for spring 2021. So we'll put that in there, and then we'll take a look at them and wrap these up for the final week of our semester. So hopefully your layout went smoother than mine, because I struggled through this, but it's a hard layout to work with because it is so short and so wide. You can't just do what you did on your other ad. That's part of why we're doing this, because it's a challenge to use the same information. And actually, now that I look at this, I may have changes, I may not. Actually, one more change before I go. I'm going to click on this one more time, and I think I do like the 2-point border on here of that blue border. So I'm going to go down to border, and I'm going to put it back to 2. I think it makes it stand out a little bit more. I'll go into that one, and I'll put that back to 2. And now when I zoom out, I think that looks okay. I think it pops okay. And that's at a real small size, but that's the way I'm trying to see it. So I think that looks okay. Serving New Jersey for over 44 years, it leads you right in. There's a roof leading you there. There's the website leading you there. And then the last thing you see is their logo. So I think that's working okay. Not perfect, but we're using a lot of warms and cools, and it's working in that area for now. So I'm going to stop there and let you work on yours.